Okay, so today what I'd like to do is try for a third time to set up a new development environment. So this time what we're going to do is we're not going to try to sort of activate Linux or do anything locally on our machine. Instead, what we're going to do is use something that is web-based. So this should almost definitely work. I've used this before in my web design class, so we're going to jump right into it. So the resource that we are going to use is called CodePen. So codepen.io, and you should be able to click login. You might have to hit sign up if it's your first time, but login and then log in with GitHub. So we're going to use the GitHub account that we created at the beginning of the semester in order to gain access to CodePen. Now, when you log in for the first time, you might have to go through their wizard to sort of set up your profile or whatever, but the sort of second time that you open up, you're going to see that there's this sort of dashboard of various projects that coders have done. If you click on one, you can check out what it is that they've done. Oftentimes it's sort of like interactive, cool little things. So codepen.io is sort of the first thing that we want to do. If you click on create pen, it's going to create a development environment that looks like this. Now you can exit out of the ad that appears down here. I prefer to change the view. By default it'll be set up like this, but I'm going to go to here. I think it's a little bit easier to see. I want to explain what it is that we're seeing. You're seeing a code sandbox, and so basically you can type some code. So I'm going to type angle bracket h1 hello world close angle bracket like so, and this is just a little bit of HTML, which is sort of the primary language that features the sort of the content and structure of a website. You have another language, CSS, and CSS describes the way that is supposed to look. So I can say H1 elements are supposed to be the color red, semicolon, and now all of my H1 elements are going to be red. You can also see that CodePen sort of updates in real time, and then JavaScript adds functionality, so that sort of gives you a sense for how this development environment works. So I'm going to go back to CodePen.io. I'm not going to save this. I'm just going to go ahead and leave. I'm going to show you that I already have some pens created. So if I go to my dashboard right here, and I click on my collections. Collection is basically like a way to organize your different pens, and a pen is basically just what I just showed you. I can see right here in my game design collection, I have this project called Bricks by Emanuele Fornato. Now, who is that? Emanuele Fornato is an Italian game designer and developer, and he's got this website, emanuelefornato.com, with hundreds of different tutorials featuring games like this hyper-casual Bricks game where you click and try to match the color, and then it's sort of Tetris-y puzzle sort of game, and he shares all of his source code. And so you can see he's commented all of what each line does. Now, this is all JavaScript. It's not a language that we've used before, but sort of the principles of computer science are applicable across most languages. And so if statements, variables, all of those things that we've talked about in class all apply. And so here you could download the whole source code, which basically consists of an HTML document, and with a little bit of embedded CSS, and then also an external library called Phaser, and then some custom JavaScript. And so we can actually replicate that in codepen.io, and that's what I've done right here. So this is Emanuele Fornato's game Bricks. So you can see it's one line of HTML, basically sets up a div, which is sort of like, imagine it as like a rectangle where you can sort of add things. And so the div is sort of this area right here. A little bit of CSS, it made the background black, and then it's gotten rid of any padding or margin so that there's no space between the bottom and top of the screen. And there's all of this JavaScript that explains what is going on right here. Now, there's a couple things I want to point out. A limitation of CodePen is that it does not allow you to upload assets unless you have the Pro version. And so if you want to have an image like you see right here, you have to use an external resource. So I'm using Imgur, which is, I think how you pronounce it, in order to host this image right here. And then I have the direct URL to this image in the code, as you can see right here. So if you wanted to mod this game, you could basically take this 300 pixel by 200 pixel image, and you could change each of these rectangles, rectangles, and make them unique, and then upload them to some other resource like Imgur, and then change the direct URL right there. What I'd like you to do, I'm going to give you this link which you can see right up here, I want you to click this fork button. And when you fork something, it basically creates a copy of it that you can then start changing. So you'll click fork this pen, and then what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to simply play around with the options right here. So you can see game options, number of columns. Right now it's set to 5, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you increase that number and then hit save, you can see all of a sudden the game, let's let it change, autosave, save, there we go. You can see that the game is totally different. Now there's a whole lot of green in here. But what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to fork this game, play around with the options. You'll notice that the number of rows needs to be increased right there. And then I can also play around with the speed in order to get it right. But once you have once you've modded those options, I want you to hit save, and then I want you to copy the link that you have created, and then I want you to submit that to Google Classroom. Now, one additional thing, if you wanted to create your own custom phaser game, under settings right here, under JS, I have imported the Phaser 3.2 3.0 Phaser library. Now, Phaser is currently on the 4.0, so if you use the most current Phaser version, it's not going to work. So make sure that you use this specific bit of code for at least this for an auto tutorial. All right, so hopefully this will give you sort of just enough information in order to sort of start your own journey of game design and development in sort of the HTML5 web-based gaming sphere. Well, I'm going to show you one final thing. In CodePen, if I go to change view, I can go to full page view. I'm going to open that in a new tab. And so that gets rid of all of the code on the side. And then it gives you sort of, again, this full screen view. There is this header across the top. But if you copy this and you paste it or open it on a mobile device, you have like a cool mobile gaming experience. So go ahead and check that out as well. Okay, that is it. A couple more classes left. I know that every class has been a little bit goofy, but hopefully this gives you just enough to sort of start your own journey. Best of luck to you.